Here we go. And we're live. Yeehaw. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, peoples. Hang on, I just want to get a link out there for my Discord server, just in case no one's getting notified. Cause I love people. Okay. Boop. Yes, I want to send it to everybody. Haha. Okay. Woo, alright, there we go. So, ayo. Hello, people. Hello. We need more Jackbox games. Hopefully at some point I will. Plan to. Because Jackbox is fun. I want to at least, at some point I need to do it with, like, friends. Hey, Zodiac, are you excited for Change Your Mind tomorrow? I didn't know it was happening. I don't know. I'm not really in the loop of when things happen, so. What instruments can I play? I mean, I used to be able to play violin, but I haven't played it in years, so probably not very good at it anymore, but at one point I could play a decent violin. I'm getting my screen a little bit more set up here. Your FAQ says 17, but I did turn 18. I haven't updated it. Hang on, I can fix that. Yeah, you're right. I am indeed 18 now. I just forgot to update that, so there we go. It's all better now. Balance has been restored. I'm new to your channel and love you and your art. Well, thank you. Can you speak any other languages? I started learning Spanish, but that kind of stopped after I was done with my Spanish classes, so not really, unfortunately. I mean, I'd love to. I'm so bad with, like, learning other languages. I'm terrible at the English language, so I mean, you know. Must know 21 Pilots, good, bad, or meh. I mean, I think they make, like, good music, like, in reference to things, but I'm not really a very picky person. I don't know. Hang on 1 second. Sorry. How are my knees? When are my knees ever okay? Yeah. Dancing Queens of Forever 17. Well, what's funny about that is I actually recently I saw my school did Mamma Mia for their musical recently, and I went and saw that, and I was rather bored. Sorry, I'm skipping to the bottom, so if anyone's salty I'm missing their questions, you can ask it again. How's my day going? It's going pretty good. Are you on any other media other than DA? I mean, I'm on Twitter, though I don't post much. I'm on Instagram, but I've kind of given up posting there at this point. Just because, I don't know, it's not really for me. I don't really like Instagram's setup. I think its notification system is frustrating, and it's just not my thing. What do you think of Steven Universe Diamond Days? I haven't seen any of the episodes yet, so. Listen, Mitchie, I didn't know when you were gonna stream, okay? I wanted something to do while I was waiting for this to export, so you know what, you could fight me. I love you too, Smeeches. What's your opinion on college? Well, I haven't gotten there yet, so. I'm not even really, and I'm not going to a regular, like, 4-year university either, so. There's that. Is it easy making stories, and what are some tips? Well, I mean, to make a story, it's easy. It is like, okay, to make a story is easy. To make a story that's going to be like, that's going to make you millions, that's a little bit more of a challenge. Or making a cohesive story that everyone can like, that's a bit more of a challenge. And with tips, that would depend on what kind of story you're trying to make. Like, because there are so many ways to go about making a story. Like, seriously. Especially because it depends, like, is it a video game? Is it a movie? Whatever. That kind of thing. Is it going to be a book? Do you want it to be a series? Do you want it to be short? It just depends. Yes, all the abuse. Are you ever going to draw your Harley Quinn again? What? What is my Harley Quinn? Sorry, I'm skipping around. Speak about the good, stupid love triangle we started. Well, I mean, if these questions slow down, then I could talk about all the crackling bullshit I want, because it's my stream and no one can control me. Oh, goodness. How is Luniverse going? It's going pretty good, I'd say. I still need to work on the arc I'm exploring right now. Do you have any tips on putting a comic together? Well, I would say, first of all, don't start posting pages till you are very well enough along. If you're doing it publicly, I mean, if you're going to make it a book, then don't post pages till you have your thing finished. Because otherwise people are going to read it for free and then they won't buy the book. But, yeah, so I'd recommend making sure you have pages done before you, like a good amount done before you start posting pages. Also, planning is key for everything. You want to plan out as much as you can. It's always good. I want to hear about the love triangle. Well, then I'll talk about it in a second. Dear. Sorry, okay, I'm going to skip to the bottom again. Gosh, there's so many. Don't want any spoilers, so you don't want me to tell one. What are your standards for who you do collabs with? I mean, I don't really have a lot of standards. I would say it's more like, for one thing, I gotta not be busy. If I'm like busy, I don't want to like usually start doing a collab when I'm busy because I don't want to make the person wait that long. But although I will say, I actually prefer, for both art trades and collabs, I like doing it with people who have very different styles from me. Usually when I do something where it's like we both kind of have similar art styles, it feels kind of like, I really like doing art trades with people with a very, very different style than me. Same goes for collabs, because I think there's something very interesting about doing a collab where the person sketches it and the style's totally different and then it's rendered in somebody else's style. I think that's pretty interesting. So yeah, that's kind of what I like, but I don't really have a lot of rules for collabs. It's just a matter of like, do I have the time to do one? Which right now I do not really, to take on a new one, I mean. Have you been enjoying the new clipping layers that Procreate has to offer? Yes, very much so. Your first Fusion Gem character, you called them Harley Quinn? They're not called Harley Quinn. They're called, I don't think they were called, no, not Harley Quinn, Harlequin. Harlequin is a very different word. Harlequin is like a type of clown. It's like, hang on, I'll put it in the chat. If I can spell it correctly. It's like this. So it's not Harley Quinn, it's Harlequin. But I haven't drawn her and I don't really plan to draw her anytime in any... I don't plan to draw any gem characters right now and work on a lot of other stuff right now. Sorry, I'm skipping around. I'm sorry I can't respond to everyone. What programs do you use to draw, and any tips on drawing hair? I use Procreate like 99% of the time, and I mean, depends what you need help with hair. Just because I don't know if I can give a lot of good advice while I'm just sitting here waiting, or I'm sitting here trying to read questions. So I'm writing a story called School Spirit. It takes place in a haunted high school. That's cool. How do you start posting art online? I get nervous. Just post it. Unfortunately, that is the best advice you'll ever get, is to just start posting it. If you worry too much about making the first one the best thing you ever post, then you're never going to get anything done. And especially because, like, no one, I guarantee you, maybe 1% of people might have known what the first thing I ever posted online was, like, ever. You know, it's as you go on with your online world, you might even forget what the first thing you post is. So just start posting things. Will you be doing more streams answering anatomy questions and whatnot? I really enjoyed listening to the last one while I was drawing. It helped me work on my proportions. Yes, I most certainly will. I'm doing a poll on DeviantArt right now, figuring out what the next one's going to be. I don't know when it's going to be, but hopefully sometime either, maybe not this month, but probably in February at some point, because that went really well. Do you like Queen? Who's your favorite member? I don't know much about like any band. So what program and brush do you use? Procreate, and I use like any default brush in there. The most I would ever do is just tweak things a little bit. So yeah. I mean, which is interesting because, like, I think people have this misconception that I use some fancy brushes I downloaded on the internet. I really don't. I just use whatever the program gave me, and I tweak it to fit the specific things I need. And I'd recommend everybody to do the same. If you want to figure out what brushes work for you, test the other brushes you have in your program, and if you feel like it could be a little bit better, then go into the settings and tweak them. Most programs will let you tweak your brush settings. So, yeah. Hey Zodiac, do you know when if you'll post any pictures, drawings of Sprite on your DeviantArt? If I post a picture of Sprite, it will most likely be within a sketch dump, which I need to make another one because I have a lot of sketches right now that I don't want to post as their own drawings, but I'd totally put them in a sketch dump. So, yeah. Have you read Harry Potter? What house are you in? I have never read Harry Potter. I've never have. I've seen the Fantastic Beasts movies, but that's about as close as I'll ever get. Warrior cats in the beginning of the Zodiac. We had warrior cats, indeed. Do you post on Pagey World? Nope. I tried getting it once and it didn't last me a day. Have you read A Vision of Shadows yet? I don't think so. Have you watched Big Mouth? Nope. I am very boring. Oh yeah, Minecraft grass block. When's the next time you plan on doing either an OC review like the ones you did for Leo and Nick's story? I would do that if I could actually, if people would post an animatic thing, because I don't really want to. I might do review streams, like where I review characters in a live stream format, because those are a little bit more fun and interactive than just having to write a script and all that stuff. It's a little more entertaining for me. I'd actually, like the Leo and Nick thing, well, I could only do that if somebody was to actually post an animatic of their OCs, about their OC or their story or something like that. Like those two are formatted. I know one other person did, but it was really, no offense to that person, but it was really half-assed. Like, not even halfway through the video, they stopped putting any pictures in there. So it didn't feel right, like, doing it on a very thrown-together video that didn't have all the full thought put into it, you know? So, if any of you out there are going to make one for your character, you're free to send it to me when it's done, and I'll take a look at it. Have you ever had an art thief? Yeah, of course. Of course I have. But like thankfully nothing where it's like somebody, like a company who stole my art and is trying to sell it. Mostly just the really annoying people who either do it to be a troll or they do it because they're a kid and they're just kind of like, you know, but yeah, I've had an art thief. Quite a few. Do you have any, in general art tips? I mean, not just use references. Like, that is the best advice I could ever give anyone, is just use references for everything. Are there any particular video games you love? I know you might have answered this before, but I just didn't understand. I like The Sims a lot. I like, let me think. I haven't played, there's not been a lot of video games I've played in recent times, honestly. Right now I'm really into, Brawl Stars right now. I love Professor Layton. I love those. I got really excited when it turned out they made it for mobile games. They repurposed the first game, and I'm like, I really hope, I would really love it, and it would make my soul happy if they did it for all the rest of the games, because I fucking love those games. Oh, I also like shoot, what's it called? There's a game, like not Twin Tails, but like, I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Or maybe I have it on here real quick. Hang on one second. I played this game. I'm done with it now, but like, I played it once and I really liked it. No, I don't have it on here. Fuck me then. I don't remember what it's called. How long have you been drawing? Like I usually say, I've been drawing since as long as I could remember. I've always enjoyed it, but I never got serious about it till about middle school. So, question: have you seen any of Zin's stuff? If so, do you like their vids? I've never heard of them, so no opinion. If you had a squib, what would yours look like? I'm not certain I know what a squib is, so. No, do your homework first. Hey Zodiac, what are your thoughts on not safe for work art? Ooh boy, that's a can of worms. I have absolutely no problem with not safe for work art, so long as it's not illegal. Like, you know, so long as you're not drawing like child porn. And I've drawn not safe for work art before, you know, so, and I kind of, it doesn't surprise me that a lot of people I see who are super against not safe for work art and are super against people drawing porn are like kids or teenagers or like younger teenagers, because there is absolutely nothing inherently wrong with drawing not safe for work art so long as it's not depicting anything like illegal, like, you know, like, you know, again, kids, and it's just, I don't understand why, like, not safe for work, especially if you're just for one thing, not safe for work is not always porn. Second thing, especially with nudity, like, nudity will like help you get better with your art, like in general, like it gets you better with anatomy and it gets you better with just a lot of things, and there's nothing wrong with that not safe for work stuff. It's something for fun usually. I know this is a stupid question, but do you by chance like Transformers? I mean, I like it in concept. I'm not a totally huge fan of it, but like, you know, it's pretty neat. It was a portion of my childhood, to be honest, just a little bit. List all of your Universe characters' favorite food. I mean, I couldn't think of that off the top of my head, so I keep seeing your channel on my feed and I don't know why, and I started that. Well, thank you, Xavier. What are your thoughts on goats? Goats are beautiful creatures, I'd say. How is Jay? I mean, Jay's doing something all right. Still the edgelord he always is. Although I actually have a funny story for y'all. I'm not gonna call this person out at all because like it's not their fault. I had someone comment on my video, which included a speed paint of Jackson and Jay. And they commented about how they really like Jay, and it was all going well until they said, like, I also like the fact that he's a, like, Native American. I think that's really cool. And I kind of made that face where it's like, you just don't know how you respond to that. So I didn't respond to it. But, I it was funny because when I was reading that, I'm like, okay, so that makes it sound like you've been on my DeviantArt, so you know like who Jay is as a character. This isn't the first time you've seen it. Um and but I was just kind of sitting there like, where did they get the idea that he's a Native American? Because he's not. He's like, I mean, comes from a time where it's like they don't really, it's not like anybody really, race isn't a big deal. They have bigger issues to worry about than race. But like, I mean, technically speaking, he's like half African American, half Asian. So like, I just don't know where they got the idea that he was Native American, and it was really, I was just kind of sitting there like, oh, do I say something or do I just kind of leave this be? But that was an experience. Anyway, this is the end of my story. Where was I? I fucking lost. I lost my location. I'm sorry, I'm gonna just go towards the bottom. I apologize. What are we gonna do with all these crack babies? There's so many. I don't know. The crack babies never end. There's always more. You think you're done with them, and then there's just more. There's always crack babies at every point in time. Always. What about trench coats? I mean, aesthetically, I kind of like trench coats. I mean, they intimidate in real life. They're kind of like, Maybe the feathers. Maybe that's why it is. I don't know. Probably the feathers, yeah. Which is unfortunate. He just wears them because he likes the aesthetic, really, to be honest. Oh, goodness. And also because they're blue, and that's despite his mother, so... What's your opinion on furries? I mean, I'm, like, they're people doing their own thing. I don't always really know why people, so passionately, like... hate furries or whatever. I mean, I get the stigma, like I get that, and I know there's a lot of drama with that, but to me it's like it's the same with like people who like, you know, Transformers, for example. Like, ugh, you like robots, you know? Like that's just how it feels to me. It just feels weird that it's like specifically furries that get ragged on, especially when like anthropomorphic animals have been something that have always existed. Tom and Jerry, you know, like any like old fucking the old Robin Hood movie that Disney did once, you know, like American in Paris is like anthropomorphic mice, you know, it's like just stuff like that. It's just so weird that like, I mean, obviously I think it's less nowadays, but it's just weird that that's the kind of stuff that like, it's specifically the furries that everyone like rags on. And I get the history with that, but it's still like, why is that inherently a bad thing? Oh, goodness. Why isn't Thanos all in the kitchen? Because he destroys half the ingredients. Anyway. Do you know who Janky Bones is? I do not. Do you have a P.O. box? If not, do you think you would ever get one? I do not have a P.O. box. I feel like I should get one, but currently I do not have a P.O. box. I might wait to get one until I move, probably, just because I'm like, over the summer that's going to happen. How do you feel about Diamond? I haven't seen Diamond Days, so. Do you have a favorite character design that you made? Oh, God. I mean, it would depend on what story. What are some, if I can think of like a few off the top of my head? I mean, I love drawing Lust. I'll just draw Lust all the time because probably it's his hair, honestly, but like Lust, I guess. I know there's more than that. I just gotta think about that. I mean, to me, I really like how I designed Gluttony too, because I just like she just has a fun design for me. And let me think. I mean, I do really like Chrome and Virus's new designs in Luniverse, which was not technically me. That wasn't technically my design. They were primarily redesigned by Wallace NT. So, I guess those don't really count because they're not my designs. Yeah, it would depend on what story. Okay, skipping to the bottom, I apologize. How do you pick your permanent characters? By their personalities or character designs? Had your permanent characters? Like, what do you mean? Like, do you mean the characters that you don't kill off, or like the characters that aren't like one-offs? I thought Lust was a girl. Good, that was the point. So you have a lust for drawing lust, I guess you could say that. I mean, in February, there's going to be some spicy commissions involving lust, so that'll be fun. I gotta get done with this batch of commissions, though. I took on 12 because I'm a dumbass. But anyway. Like in your story, your main character... Oh, you mean your, like, protagonist characters? That would just... I mean, it depends on what story you're trying to tell, really. Because in some stories, you can have multiple main characters. But I would say, if you're trying to decide in a group of characters which one should be the main character, I would usually go with the whatever character is going to actually progress in the story. The last thing you want is a passive main character who's not actually going to do anything unless you can make it interesting. But like as a basic rule, it's usually the best to go with a character that is going to intentionally go out and interact with the story, aren't just gonna sit there and just kind of go along for the ride. That's usually what makes for the more interesting stories. I hate having to kill off characters because you love them and you don't want to see them go. I know. I can only do it whenever I feel like the character has no more story to be had, or if I feel like it progresses the story in some way. How do you know which characters to kill off and which ones to keep? Well, that would depend on a lot of things. I mean, that would depend on, again, what kind of story you're trying to tell. That would depend on, I mean, if we're talking about, like, if a character has to die, for one thing, I'd pick a character that feels, I mean, you don't always have to. I mean, sometimes it might be more unexpected to kill a character that feels like they haven't been completed yet, because some people, it'll make the audience a little bit more like, oh, they had so much they haven't done, but I would also pick a character that would, like, that kind of leaves the most effect on people, or the other characters in the story. I mean, honestly, if you really want to go for like the I want to make the audience cry sort of thing, kill off any character that makes people laugh. Because if you kill off the character that people are emotionally attached to, that's what's going to make people cry. I mean, don't just do it just to do it, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Any tips on anatomy? I mean, references. Unfortunately, that is the only general advice I can ever give you is just references. What's your opinion on SCP Foundation? I love SCP Foundation. I love the world building to it. I love going through and reading those case files. I haven't read any recently. I need to get back into that, but I like SCP Foundation. Is there a realistic way to kill off a character? I mean, it does depend on what world you're in. I'm actually thinking about this myself because I kind of I once again made another story that I have now committed to because I've decided, you know what, why the fuck not? I'm into it now. And it's in a world where at some point the characters would have to die. So, I mean, it would depend on your setting, first of all. Like if your setting, for example, it's a setting where a lot of people die, then you should probably maybe not let all the main characters survive, and their friends, because that would be a little bit like, weird how lucky they are. And I would say it depends on the setting. Like, if like there's freak accidents that could happen, sometimes to kill off a character can just be something poetic or something ironic. Mitchie and I had that recently in Crackland because we had a character whom they already died in the technical canon, but it was technically off screen, and it was alongside another character. I'm not going to spoil anything because it's spoilers for her story a little bit, but we at the same time we felt like that character, the arc, because it was a character that like kind of was the foil to Gabe a little bit in the story. So we felt like that they needed to have their final standoff. We felt it was unfair for them just to like that just to be the end of it. So we had a whole time travel adventure, and they basically went to an alternate universe where she kind of won, so they could kind of have their final little standoff kind of thing, you know? And oh goodness. So yeah, sorry, I was looking at something. So anyway, so they were having their final standoff, and we were thinking like, okay, I feel like this would end with her dying in some way, but like Gabe in character wouldn't kill somebody. But then I realized the most like poetic way she could have died, because Gabe has this little trend in Crackland where if anyone tries to hurt him, it doesn't work. It like bounces off of him and either reflects into the person trying to hurt him, or if he like stubs his toe, it just kind of bounces off and affects the nearest person essentially. And he doesn't do it consciously. It just he's overpowered. That's the point. But the thing was, this villain, we realized she wouldn't know this. She would have at no point have tried to harm him to have known this was true. So I realized while we're having this intense standoff, I was like, oh, what if she tried to kill him and that's how she died? And it was really poetic. And because like basically where he didn't lay a hand on her. It was she was her own downfall. And it was really poetic. And I'm like, this is the kind of stuff I live for. So yeah, honestly, I would say if you need to kill off a character and you've known you need to kill them off, and if you can make it something, especially if the character, like, that's the end of their arc, I would always recommend, if you have the ability without, like, stretching it too much, try and make it, like, kind of poetic or kind of ironic. I think it would be really, that's usually sometimes the most interesting kind of deaths are, like, the twistedly ironic ones. Sorry if I'm skipping. Question, I make custom dolls. Would you mind if I made your characters into dolls just for fun? I wouldn't sell them. Oh, I would love that. Please go. If you want to do that for fun, please go for it. I would absolutely love to see that. It would be really cool. So yeah, go ahead, Emily Booth. Feel free. How are you younger than me? In a good way. Hey, Zodiac, do you think that fan fiction about the Founding Fathers is weird? Because I said, well, I mean, you do you. I personally find shipping any real life people a little bit strange, just because it's just, I don't know, it's a little like uncomfortable for me. But you know, that's, you do you. That's fine. You're not hurting anyone. So being amazing, period. I can't wait to start again. Well, thank you. Thank you, Comatose. I have a story with a lot of dead people sort of moving the story along. Not like there's ghosts, but if they didn't die, the story wouldn't have happened, and there's about 7 or 8 dead people. I mean, that's cool. Questions about Luniverse. On Earth / wherever Luna's home planet is, how common are people from other planets / universe / things? Are there more unknown or just not tolerated? Well, Luna lives on normal modern day Earth. You know, so she doesn't like, the only thing weird about normal modern day Earth is the fact that there's demons and there's witches. That is like the most magical thing about Earth. But there are other worlds that are technically linked to Earth in a way, you know, but really the whole, like, other universes, like other planets, mythical creatures, whatever, those are not common on Earth. That doesn't really happen. You know, and if they did, they would be very unknown, you know, so it's not, like, really the whole event with Luniverse, that's kind of the point, is the fact that this isn't something that you would see at all at any other point in time. So, you know. Can a Zodiac have a real crown, or does it have to be a cardboard one? It can have a real crown. That's just all for fun, honestly. It was just a fun idea, so whatever. Any tips for starting to open up commissions and getting your name out there as a smaller artist, as well as for how many to take at once, kind of figuring things out as I go. Well, for starting commissions, you're just gonna have to open them, and you're not going to get like a wave of commissions right off the bat. That's only gonna happen if you already have the following for it. But you just kind of open up your commissions, and like it's fine to remind people every now and then that they're there, and just keep posting art. One thing I see that's a flaw with a lot of people is that they will have commissions open, but they don't post anything, and they don't so that like no one's gonna know if you have are gonna be interested if you're not posting art regularly, you know. Yeah, but I would also say one thing I see a lot: have examples alongside your prices. This is a big flaw I see with a lot of people who start doing commissions. They just put prices out there with some title to it, and then they don't show any images about what that would look like. Like that is going to be your like that's really discouraging for someone looking for art, because you don't know what your product's going to be, you know? It's like you don't have any product image to go alongside it. And like, of course, some people could say, it's just like, just look at my gallery for examples. And it's like, okay, but what is these is like shaded? What are these is a half body? What is this? What if this is an experiment as opposed to your regular art, you know? So always put examples. Please just save your commissioner a little bit of time, you know, whatever. And in terms of like how many you should take, start small. Don't overwhelm yourself. And if you feel like you can take more, try taking more, you know. And then if you feel like if you need to take less, take less. Like start with 5 even at once. If you get 5 at once, and then like if you feel like you can do more, go to 7 or 10, you know, and from there. Sorry, I'm skipping to the bottom. Do you prefer ham or turkey sandwiches? I mean, I guess ham and I guess ham, well, it'd have to be ham and cheese. Oh, goodness. Do you have a favorite type of clothing to draw on your characters? I mean, I really like cloaks. I like anything kind of flowy. And I also, at the same time, I weirdly like skin-tight things, too. I don't know why. It's just a little smoother to draw. Cake or pie? I like me some cake. I love me some cake. Why is drawing only filled with pain and suffering? I've been working and practicing webcomic in both drawings, and rewriting over and over again is awful. How do you deal with it? Well, if you aren't having fun with it, then you probably shouldn't do it, to be honest. It might just not be for you. If drawing is painful and agonizing, you probably should find something else to, like a better hobby to do. I mean, I can't tell if you're being sarcastic with that, but like, if you want to if you're trying to do a webcomic and you're not finding any enjoyment out of it, then it's going to show in your final product. So I would not draw if you don't really like doing it, to be honest. Would you rather lose your eyesight or your hearing? Well, for me, I would go insane if I lost my eyesight, because I am such a visual person. I would 100% rather lose my hearing. I couldn't, like, I physically, I could not enjoy life if I couldn't see. I just couldn't. Because I mean, not like, even excluding the fact that I'm an artist and I draw, and that is like the thing that I am passionate in my life. I like watching movies. I like watching TV. I like looking at art. I like reading occasionally. I like writing stories. So I could not live my life to the fullest if I lost my eyesight. I just couldn't. What is your most favorite villains of yours? I mean, probably Solar, just because he is the most villain of my villains. He's the only one that is like just irredeemable and just totally evil. What is your favorite time period? I mean, I like a lot of more ancient time periods. I think they're just fascinating to learn about, really. Which OCs do you love to draw? I mean, it would depend on what like group of OCs. I mean, I like drawing Lust a lot. I like drawing. I keep designing new characters. That never stops ever. Yeah, I mean, I'd like drawing a lot of my characters, I'd say, probably. I don't know. I haven't really done a lot of consistent art recently to decide, but... What's your favorite color palette to use in a piece of art? I mean, honestly, purples and golds and stuff. How do you go about explaining magic in your stories? Like, when do you think it would be too far-fetched or confusing? I mean, I have different magic systems depending on the story. Some are a bit more strict than others. So, I mean, it's just kind of a logical thing sometimes. I mean, I have one story where the rules are pretty loose, but that's because it's not meant to be a super, like, a super serious story. But like in that case, it's like there's 4 basic elements, and then like there's some things that are a combination of different things, but like and then some people are just more skilled with certain magics than others. So yeah. Opinion on manatees. I personally find them adorable. I love manatees. They're beautiful creatures. What's your best advice to a beginner artist or writer? Don't get too overprotective about your work, and experiment. When will we hear another childhood story of yours? I'm not sure, whenever I get around to it. What's your favorite color combination? Like I said, purple and gold. Purple and yellow, too. Do you like drawing in cartoony styles or realism? I mean, I'm pretty, like, semi-realistic, I'd say. I like both, though. I like looking at both. But I'm a bit of semi-realistic. Would you rather draw a realistic nude minion or a shaven tiger? Like a shaven tiger? As in a tiger that has its fur shaved? I'd probably rather do a shaved tiger because, I mean, it's like, that's basically like drawing a very big Siamese cat, so... Any advice on writing people who got out of a cult or writing a cult? I'm probably not the best to ask advice about that because I haven't had a lot of experience writing that kind of thing. But I would say you have to remember that usually with cults, they're very, very, very solidified in their beliefs. They're not very open to other ideas. So, like, you'd have to write that stuff. You'd have to make a character that is very opinionated and very, very set in their beliefs. And you have to also remember that, and someone who got out of a cult, they wouldn't just suddenly be like any other person. They'd probably still have some problems with conflicting ideals and stuff like that. And trying to live outside of whatever cult that is. What's your favorite animal or mythical creature? I like so many animals. Like, I like red pandas. I like snow leopards. I just like a lot of different animals. I really love dragons too, so, because I'm typical, and I like griffins. Thoughts on dogs? I love dogs. How do you feel about heroes sounding more like villains as the story progresses? I mean, I like that idea. I like stuff like that. I like character development. I'm trying to learn a more cartoony style for humans, but I can't seem to get it. I'm too attached to my proper anatomy. Any tips for breaking away from that? Go super extreme. Like, go as extreme as you possibly can. And, like, don't hold back. Just, just go as extreme as you possibly can, because it's a lot easier to reel back from something extreme, then go further. So just go as far as you can and reel it back from there and see what happens. I mean, or even if you really need help with that, start with something realistic and then slowly like redraw the same picture, only making it more and more cartoony, and see where it takes you. What's the video that you're exporting? You'll see whenever it's posted. If you had a cat, what would you name him or her? I mean, I have a cat. His name is Pumpkin. So. Do you have any tips on what to do when your original characters don't turn out how they do in your head? Like, if you don't feel like you're drawing them correctly? Because in that case, I would say just keep trying, or, you know, like try and practice till you get to a point where you draw them how you want them to be drawn. Or if you can, if you have the money to, commission someone you feel like can do them correctly. Who is your favorite superhero? I'm not really sure. I'm really bad with picking favorites, so. You ever tried cocaine? No, I have no intention on ever using drugs, or honestly ever really drinking alcohol as far as I'm concerned. I haven't, like, I as far as I'm concerned, you can't get addicted to it if you never try it, so. I'm trying to get people to know my art. Any tips, please? Just keep posting, and like, I don't know where you're posting your work, so, you know, utilize tags. Tags will help a lot. If you post in a place that has like groups or something like that, post to groups. You know, if you really want to, just like, I don't know, if there's any appropriate places you can advertise yourself, feel free to advertise yourself. Don't just do it on other people's stuff. Like, I can't tell you how irritating it is when I see people who will advertise themselves like in the comments of videos where it just really doesn't belong, or like on another person's page. It's really rude and disrespectful. But some people, like in my Discord server, I have a place where people can advertise themselves. Like, if there's a place like that, go for it, you know, but just don't do it with people who, like, that's, like, you're not really given the permission to, like, on another person's page. Deadpool, yeah, I love Deadpool. Okay, 1 second. Just give me a second and I'll get back to answering questions. Type in something real quick. I will say, just now that while I'm sitting here thinking about it, I have some thought that I want to do something. I was just thinking about this while I was like reviewing my own, like looking my video over before I exported it. I have this idea that I don't know how I want to go about actually doing it. But, like, because I've been told I can make a pretty good mediator. And I find debate to be something that is pretty fascinating, you know? And I had this thought of, like, you know, it probably would be something art or story related just because that's the kind of stuff I know the best. But, like, of having this idea of where I could bring, like, two, maybe three people onto something, and then they can like have a stream where they just debate and like debate whatever it is. You know, like whether it be just whatever subject. It's just two people who disagree about something, and then they can like they have the time to prepare if they need to prepare, and then they can debate, and then I could just be chilling there as the moderator, giving them a platform to debate on, especially because, like, I wouldn't want to be a part of the debate, because if it's on my channel, like, I have an audience, and that audience is probably going to be primarily biased to me, and I don't want to do that, and, you know, so I'm not going to do that with, like, whatever, but I feel like it'd be interesting to have people that people might not be as biased to. They could be, but, like, obviously on my channel, it'd be different. But, you know, and, like, it'd be interesting. I feel like it'd just be an interesting thing to have, like, different people on, like, a little debate and just have it. And I could just be there to just give them a place to have their debate, and then also just make sure it doesn't get out of control, or just to ask, like, provoking questions or whatever if needed. So I don't know how I'd go about doing that, and I wouldn't even know what the first topic would be or when it would be, but I feel like that'd be an interesting experience, I'd say, even if I just did it once for fun. So I don't know. I feel like it'd be interesting, because I do like me some spicy controversy sometimes. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know. Random thought, but it's something I was thinking about before. Okay, sorry, I'm going back to answering questions now. Do you have any villains you've made that are sympathetic but not redeemable? I probably do. We think. Shoot. I mean, like, I have one who, I mean, she's not even really a villain. I'm trying to think. Like, she's not really a villain, but she's kind of like, you know, she's not really a good person, but she's not like she's kind of an antagonist. But she's not really a villain that's like that needs to be redeemed necessarily. To think. And Luniverse, I definitely have a few of those in Luniverse. But I can't really say all of them because some of them are spoilers, but you know. God, I've always wanted to do a picture with like all the villains from Luniverse, but I can't because there is one that is just such a big spoiler. I can't put them down as a villain. And I'm like, ugh, dang it, my whole aesthetic. Ah! Hook me up on that debate. Would love to do it. Love arguing. I mean, I don't know. I might poke around on Discord, and if I can find like some people who have opposing opinions. Is Kai technically an antag? He is at first, technically, but we're not going to talk about that too much. And then again, we're talking about, you know, the Sins are technically the bad guys, so... Mitchie and Anna are streaming, but I wanted to listen to you guys. I know I'm probably not gonna stream too much longer. So y'all can shimmy over there once I'm done. Flamin' Hot Cheetos or Takis? I've never eaten either of them. I don't really plan to eat either of them, so. How much do you actually believe in zodiac signs and whatnot? Well, I would say it is rather interesting that so many that there are so many reoccurring traits between signs and people, but I'm not that hardcore about it. I don't believe your horoscope is automatically true, and I do definitely see horoscopes usually do tend to be extremely vague. So I am not somebody who I'm fascinated with the zodiac and I love it as a theme. And as an aesthetic, but it's not I'm not one of those people who's just I'm a Virgo, so I did nothing wrong. I don't use it to excuse people, and I don't use it as a serious the horoscope and it's all written in the stars. Is Moon Satan? Maybe, who knows. So to the person who asked about cults before, when I wasn't able to write a comment, try looking at people who have actually been in cults. Try Googling it or looking through YouTube videos, the YouTube atheist community. Yeah, definitely that. That's honestly the thing with anything, is just research when you're trying to draw something that is a real thing. That'll always help you a lot. I want to try and make an animatic for my story for you to review it, but the story is a fanfic. It has a world built around it and everything, but it's a fanfic. Would you review it if I posted it? I mean, if you make the animatic, sure, if you send it to me, I can try. That's not a guarantee, obviously, because if life gets in the way, life gets in the way, but I can always try. What's your opinion on Friends? I've never watched it. What's Luna's grandmother's name? Her name is I know what her name is, but for some reason I'm blanking on it right now. I think it's Josie. I'm blanking on it right now, and I don't know why, but yeah. I've always just called her Granny, Granny Evergreen, so. How do you write characters with accents? Well, it depends, it depends on how, for one thing, if you're writing a character with an accent, if the accent is really a strong one, then you'd actually have to just think about how it sounds, for example, I'm Southern. If you were writing a Southern accent, for example, you might, instead of putting a G, you might replace it with an apostrophe. If you say nothing, you do it with the IN and then apostrophe rather than putting a G at the end. Or if you're doing I have to write this all the time with baby ebonics. When you're doing little kids talking and they're really young, you might you replace L's with W's, L's and R's with W's and stuff like that. But generally, if the character's accent isn't a strong one, you probably won't need to do that very much. But if it's supposed to be strong, just think about how the character would sound. Even if you have to say it out loud in that accent and then write down kind of just maybe tweak some words just to make sure it sounds like that accent in your mind, when you read it. Can I see your cat? I don't have any pictures of them on hand. Have you ever wanted to write a story where the protagonist is also the antagonist, and would you make them redeemed at the end or have it be defeated? Well, it depends on what story I'd want to write. Because it could go both either ways. And, it being me, I'd probably want to write a story that does both. So, What country would you ever want to go to? I don't really know. I'm not really a travel person. I don't really like traveling all that much, so... Oh, you never got to the love triangle? Well, I can talk about the love triangle now, so... Oh, God. Mitchie and I have, in roleplay land, we have a new love triangle that happened, and it's just really silly because we have this boy, Eric, who's a very cute boy. He's a very, very cute boy, and he's one of Siren and Kai's kids. And he's just really nervous and he's really insecure and whatever, and he's a teenager. But he was on a trip and he ends up meeting a vampire girl, and he got a crush on her because she's pretty and all that stuff, and a lot of other things happen. But then Mitchie was telling me about how originally she wasn't going to make it be a vampire, she was going to make it be a werewolf. And and she's like, well, I could still do the werewolf, you know, he just would meet that guy later. And I'm just sitting here like, you know, when you say it like that, that just makes me think about that Eric just responds in his mind like, oh, so now I know I'm bisexual. And like, it was just really silly, and they were like, oh my god, Eric has like dark eyes, dark hair, he's insecure when he really probably shouldn't be, he's secretly really powerful, he's like the main character of a really cheesy young adult vampire werewolf novel. And it was just, we thought it was so funny that we're like, okay, we're doing it now, it's this is our love triangle. Our new love triangle. We've had 3. So it's just really funny because we're like, we're just kind of doing it more as a joke than anything. But I mean, it's cute, but like, it's just beautiful. It's just poor Eric is just having a lot of teenage problems. So yeah, that's our new love triangle with is an insecure Edward Cullen. I mean, Eric's not the vampire though, so he's the male Bella. He's the Bella Swan. Yeah, we have just a few it's funny because like Mitchie, she hates love triangles. So like it's funny that we've had, essentially we're gonna have 3 at some point. We're getting to the 3rd one, but like it's just ironic, kind of like, 'cause she hates love triangles and we've had plenty. So it's just funny because it's not, none of them's happened because we go into it trying to do it. It just kind of happens and we realize it either works or it's like it's just funny. Although one of them's technically not so much a love triangle as it's boy loves girl, girl loves other boy hates both of them. So still a better love story than Twilight. Oh goodness, I need something I can like just ramble and talk about, because I do like as much as I like answering the quick one-off questions, sometimes I like me some rambling and just talking and talking and talking. And I swear I need to find some other people I can do that with, because I don't feel like I have, because I mean, I like talking with people, and I love, it's weird because I'm not someone who likes talking constantly. I don't like going to parties and whatever, but sometimes I just like talking and just going on for an hour about just talking about bullshit. But at the same time, sometimes I just like it whenever like I can just talk and sometimes the other person's okay with just chilling and listening. Like, and I don't like doing it where it's like I force people to like talk about something someone doesn't care about. I don't like doing that because to me it's just, I don't want to spend all my time talking to somebody who just doesn't care about what I'm saying. You know, and are just kind of listening to be nice. And God, I just sometimes I need like, I like it when sometimes I've had just friends who it's like, they don't really want to talk, but they're totally okay with me just talking about whatever, and they're also interested in what I'm saying, and that's like, I feel like that's the kind of person I need more in my life. But I don't know many. And which is fine, but like, sometimes I just like talking about bullshit, especially my own stories, because maybe it's an ego thing, but I love talking about my own stories and shit, and I just like saying it out loud, but I don't always like saying it out loud to only myself, so that's what the internet's for, I guess. Anyway. So yeah, anyway, continue asking questions. I'm sorry, I got distracted. In Fantasyland, do you think that 2 elves having over like 20 kids is plausible? I mean, it could happen. I mean, in that kind of scenario, there probably would be like a lot of twins or triplets involved. But I mean, there were times in histories where people had like 12 to 15 kids. Like, it happens. It just have to be. They'd both have to live for a decent amount of time, and that would have to be like as soon as they had one kid, they immediately went to make another. So what's your sexuality? I mean, I say pansexual or bisexual for the people who don't really necessarily like believe in pansexuality. And I don't mean the people who are just saying like and I don't see, okay, because I need to explain this. I don't see people like quote unquote not believing in pansexuality as bad people at all, because like I can understand where people come from when they think that like it's the same thing as bisexuality. I can understand it. I'm not gonna get into all the deep stuff about that, but I personally, I don't argue if somebody like would call me bisexual over pansexual. I don't care enough, you know. Especially because, like, to me, my sexuality and my gender have always been a very personal thing. I don't like putting it, like, I mean, I don't mean that I'm not, this is not against anybody at all, and I've never stopped anybody from saying this because it is what it is. But, like, I don't always like it when it feels like people see me as like that transgender YouTuber, that transgender artist. I don't really like that, to be honest, because I don't want that to be my identity. I want to be known as like, I want to be known as me. I want to be known for the art and stories I make, not because I'm transgender, you know, like, and I don't like it when people are just known because they're gay or just because they're transgender. I think this just kind of, I don't know. I don't want to live that kind of life, you know? And for me, to me, I feel like sexuality is just so much more complicated to try and put labels on it sometimes. I mean, I totally get why that happens, because you need to put, like, how are people going to know what you're into? You know, but, like, with me, I say I'm pansexual because, like, I don't really have, like, I've never been attracted to people because they're a guy or a girl or whatever. I've always been attracted to people because, like, wow, that's a pretty person right there, or I like their personality, you know? So to me, I just don't really, like, I don't care, you know? But I also don't I don't mind talking about sexuality and all that kind of stuff. I just don't like being known for it, because I feel like there's so much better stuff to be known for than just what you identify as, you know? And I feel like, me personally, I'm not telling anybody how to live their own lives, you know, but to me, identity has always been a me thing. It's been about nobody else. It's been about me, you know? It's been about me understanding myself and me, like, just getting to know myself. I've never liked using it as something that I bring up in my daily life. I might make my jokes, I'll talk about it, but I don't like having that be all I am. And, like, it's the same reason why I personally don't really correct people when they, like, get my gender wrong. Because to me, it's like, especially, I mean, it's a bit different when it's, like, somebody who talks to me on a daily, you know? But, like, if it's just some person, like getting, like, a waiter or something, you know? I don't, it just doesn't bother me enough to have me correct it, you know? Because, like, it's just, you know, I mean, I'm going a little bit too deep into this, but, you know, because to me, I'm like, I know what I am, I accept who I am, so people I want to, like, accept me for who I am, they do, and that's all I generally need, and that's just a personal thing, and that's just how I've always felt. I've always felt that sexuality and gender should be a personal thing, as opposed to something that's always put out on the like, put out for everybody else to speculate and talk about, you know. But that's just me. So anyway, that was long. What type of parents would the Luniverse main cast be like? I mean, that's a lot to go into off the top of my head, so I have no idea. Got a story about four characters who are about four dragons who were made for war, and the first one was too nice to kill things. The second one was regretful of his actions. The third was cool. um, what is the meaning of life to you? I mean, I don't really know. I've always felt like if you spend too much time searching for the reason why people are here, then what are you doing to get towards that, you know? Sometimes I've always just felt like, I don't know, like just kind of live your life and learn to be happy about the small things. Life isn't always all doom and gloom, and you know, there's just sometimes little things that are not like that you can smile about. But I don't know. I don't want to get too in depth about like existential shit. So, do you think it would be feasible for characters to forgive a character who did, but technically didn't do some awful, terrible things? Well, I mean, A, depends on the things, and then B, depends on the people, you know? So, I don't know. That would depend on the scenario. What is one of your biggest pet peeves? I mean, just in general? I don't know. I mean, maybe just when people generalize things. I don't know. Uh, I know there's a person that gets on my nerves a lot, but I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to go in all. I don't want this to be a shit talking stream. Let me think. I don't. I mean, if we're talking about like strictly art and story stuff, I don't like it when people. I don't like it when people say you can't do blank because it's stupid or whatever. Like obviously not those words exactly, or it's like you can't do this because I don't aesthetically like that. That ticks me off a little bit. Um, yeah, I don't know. In general, though, I don't like it. Oh God, I have no idea. I don't know. Pizza or taco? I like pizza. I don't like tacos. Do you have any artists slash stories you can recommend? Also, where can I find yours? Any stories I have, or at least the information about them, would be on like my DeviantArt. Um, oh God, I would. I mean, I could give a shout out. I did an art trade recently with, or I'm doing an art trade. I haven't finished my part yet. With hang on, make sure I'm saying their name right. There's a pretty cool person named Bubba Bu. BUBBA dash BUU. They're a really cool artist on DeviantArt. They have some really cool stylized work. Yeah, go check that. Go check them out because they can do good work. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Me and my buddy made a boy character who likes to wear pink skirts and dresses but isn't trans or trap. Do you think that? Yeah, totally. Like, go for it. I do that all the time. What is your DeviantArt account? The Zodiac Lord. The same as my YouTube. It's linked in all of my videos, so. Sorry, I'm not. I have nothing to say. So. Do you like eating cow? I mean, I like steak. Sure, I guess. I don't know. I like steak. That's about it. Yeah. I don't know what to talk about. How do you feel about furries? I talked about earlier. I talked about that earlier in the video, so or earlier in the stream. So I don't know if you want to scroll back and find that. It's pretty early on. I've watched Voltron, Legendary Defender. I haven't even finished the first season, so. Earthy or pastel tones? I mean, I probably like pastel a little bit more, but I don't know. It depends on what kind of like what it's for, you know? I like it in different contexts, so. Procreate or Photoshop CC? Procreate. I personally do not like Photoshop CC, to be honest. I don't like the tools in it so much, and it's a little bit frustrating to use sometimes. I like Procreate a billion times more. Have you seen art of people drawing themselves in their own Spider-Man suits? But I haven't seen anything. So, like, is that a thing now? I mean, spider sonas, yeah, from what I've been seeing. Spider-Verse sonas, whatever. Do you think it's okay for a straight girl to have a gay wait, is it okay for a straight girl to have gay male characters? I feel like if I post anything with said characters of mine, people get mad at me and think it's a fetish. Which, I mean, yeah, obviously. Like, I don't know. What if people think it's stupid, then, and you're not fetishizing them, then whatever. Like, yeah, it's fine. Favorite commission you've ever done? Oh, God, I have no idea. I've done a pretty decent amount of commissions right now. Let me see if I can go, like, scroll through my commissions and see if there's any that, like, shock my memory. I don't know. I don't know if I really have any favorite commissions. I mean, I like doing the one with the guy and the raccoons. That was a pretty fun one. That was pretty fun. I liked how the one I did of the deer girl and her cockatoo turned out. That was pretty. I like the one I did of Tetsu. That was cute. I like most of my lineless chibi commissions, to be honest. Those are usually pretty fun consistently. I like... Yeah, that's about it that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm writing a book, and my friend said she would help me, but she clearly isn't. This is a problem because her OC is the main character, and I don't know what they look like. What do you recommend? Well, if they're not going to help you with the story, then move on to something else, unfortunately, because if they're not going to help you, then you can't really do anything about it. And I would also say in the future, don't, unless you're positive that your friend, like whatever person you're working with has like a good work ethic, don't let your work, like, so long as you fully trust that friend, don't let their characters or their whatever have too much like weigh the story too much, because otherwise you might, like, things like that might happen. And so, I mean, if it's just that they're not doing what they said they'd be doing, it's also a matter too, though, that you have to, like, if they have no financial motivation, you also have to be patient with them. But, like, you know, if you haven't even started it, then just don't do it. Like, if you haven't started on it, then there's no reason to bother with it, honestly. Do you still like Steven Universe? Yes, but I will probably never be as hardcore of a fan as I used to be, so. Do you have a ship like Bob Xbox? No, I don't know. I feel like there's a joke that I'm not getting. I don't have a fetish of just, like, viewing and creating art with two hot shirtless dudes being intimate. Okay, then that's fine. So a lot of other people do too. If you weren't doing YouTube and art, what job would you enjoy doing? Well, first of all, YouTube's not my job at all. Arts might be a part-time job at most, so let's not get that misconception in there. YouTube is not my job in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. I guess probably something involving maybe, like, psychology or something with, like, debate, or voice acting. I've always said I'd do art strictly as a hobby if it means I could be a voice actor. What is your craziest work story that you haven't told? I don't have any work stories at all. So I've never really had a job, so. Who are your favorite YouTubers? I mean, my favorite YouTubers ever, definitely Markiplier, because I've been the most, like, I'm still a fan of him from whenever I first started watching his stuff. There's a few artist YouTubers I like Ponder Sprocket a lot. She's really good at what she does, and she makes very entertaining content. I'm going into psychology too. Do you plan on going to college, university this fall? I'm not going to school for psychology. That would be my second choice, is what I was saying. I'll be going to school, not like a big 4-year university, but I will be this fall. If you had no other choice, would you be a Libra or die? I guess I'd be a Libra? I'm not sure I understand the question here. What are some things that you have trouble drawing or have not much interest in drawing? I mean, I don't really like doing still lives very much. It's just not personally my thing. Like, I don't really like doing still lives very much. I don't really like... Oh, God, I'm trying to think. I don't really love doing logos too much. It's just kind of a little bit boring to me. I don't know, there's more, but I'm not thinking about this. Okay, I heard psychology and got excited. It's fine. I like psychology a lot. I'm just not going to school for it. help my friends started screaming Homestuck at me. Any cooler to start? Remember you had stickers on your DA. Just look up Homestuck and find the first page. Okay, I might end it soon. I'm getting a little bit tired. So unless someone can make me go on a long tangent, I'll probably end sometime kind of soonish. Do you have any pets? If not, what were your first? I do have pets. I have a cat and I have 2 dogs technically. How long do you take to do art? I mean, it depends on what I'm working on. I mean, usually it's about like an hour to 2 hours, sometimes more or less, depending on what I'm actually doing. So, you know, hour and a half is probably my average. Do you have any unpopular opinions? I mean, I don't know, probably. I have no idea. I mean, I might have, like, there's probably some, like, movies or something that, like, most people don't like that I like. But other than that, I don't really know if I have any, like, big out there, super unpopular opinions. I don't know. I'm also pretty indifferent about a lot of things, so... I don't have anything controversial, I don't think, so. Like, has anything you've watched, like TV shows, cartoons, made you scream in frustration or sigh about how stupid things are getting? Not really, usually because, I mean, usually if something kind of just bugs me, I just won't, like, I'll just kind of stop watching it. I've never really watched anything that has made me, like, legitimately outraged, so... I mean, I can get passionate while I'm talking about something, but there's nothing out there where it's like, they ruin my day kind of thing, you know? Would you ever do more gem fusions? Most likely not. Like 99% sure I'm not anymore. And at this point, I'm like, I've answered that question too many times to make a video like announcing that because I don't feel like I need it anymore. I've answered it so many times. What are some of your least favorite characters of yours to draw? Ooh. Currently, I don't really have any. I used to definitely have some that I didn't like drawing. Currently, though, not so much. What stage of the art process do you think is the most tedious? For me, it's probably line work. It's the part for me that kind of takes the longest, and it's kind of the part that sometimes gets the most frustrating for me. Because I really like sketching and I really like coloring, but lining's a little bit frustrating. Opinions on people thinking too highly of their art, such OCs, like saying their OCs are super duper extremely well written. When they're bad and or average. Well, I mean, I don't have anything wrong with people having confidence in themselves. Like, I would like to say, I would at least like to believe that I have pretty decent art and, like, I'd like to think I'm a pretty well, like, I'm a pretty skilled writer and creator, you know? But, like, I don't know. I think being too cocky for anybody's kind of sort of their own downfall, you know? But I don't think there's anything wrong with just wanting to have some confidence in yourself. Do you like Egypt? I mean, if we're talking about, like, ancient Egypt, I like that stuff. It's fascinating. I mean, I don't have an opinion on modern day Egypt, I guess. So, Who's your favorite sin from Seven Sins of a Baby? That would probably be lust, and then second place would be greed, and that's because lust I can't get into, but I really love his stories, and I have a lot of fun with him. And then with greed, I also really like his story, but I can't talk about it, so whoops. Look at that. My video's done exporting. Finally. Yeah, well, I guess there we go. That's the place to end it. My video's done exporting. So thank y'all for coming to my Rambly stream, and I'll see you in the next video, whatever it may be. Zodiac out. Bye.